floor. Let's start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we would like to take the calling of the roll, please.
Mr. Loudermilk. Here. Ms. Alsop.
Here.
Ms. Wager.
Here.
Mr. Thacker.
On his way.
Ms. Thies.
Here.
Mr. Norris.
Here.
Mr. Thompson. Here.
Just Mr. Thacker is on his way, so I'll be starting the meeting as pro tem, and then I'll hand over back to him when he arrives. He just was running behind a little bit. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the corrections to the journal, the preceding meetings if needed. So let's go ahead and take a look at the June 4th, 2024 Sunshine meeting, if we would. Can you guys find the page number? If you could let me know. Page 11, thank you. So if we could take a moment to look at those. And if anyone feels prepared to make a motion when they're done looking, please do so. Motion approved. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, we'll take a look at the June 11th, 2024 meeting, which is, you guys are fast. Where's that one? Page 20?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion's approved. At this time, I welcome any communications from elected officials, other officials, or agencies of the county. Do we have anything to be shared tonight? Commissioner Klinkenbeard? Nothing? All right. No.
You don't want to talk about the trail?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that.
I've got a long list of things I could probably update you on. Yeah.
I didn't ask for long.
Okay. Well, we got to wait till Todd gets here anyway, right, before we go any farther. But Riley Trail, the final coat was put on the first phase today, and they'll come back and do some gravel work on the sides. But we look to have some sort of ribbon cutting soon, within the next couple of weeks.
How far, somebody had
yep.
asked me exactly like where it goes, like start and finish points.
At this point, it starts at Louisville Road,
Okay.
which is in the town of Riley,
Riley.
and it goes to Llama Road, which is right behind the old snack shack.
Oh, okay.
And as far as mileage, I think it's somewhere 1.5,
Okay.
something like that.
Thank you.
On that first phase. Anything else you need that you want to know? I don't know what else.
It's
Did
pretty
you,
exciting.
did you go look at the old jail with some?
Yes, yeah, we did. We had a pre-bid meeting today for the old jail. I actually just emailed you all on that a little bit ago. We had a pre-bid meeting, and we have 5 people bidding on the demolition of the old jail. So hopefully we'll get a good price. We hope to award that bid probably in early September with demolition started in early October. Yep.
Sounds
I don't think there are any surprises there, hopefully. One other little thing, the secure room in the courthouse for the inmates is, we're just waiting on the benches. Other than that, it's all ready to go, so that'll be operational here within the next couple weeks also.
good. Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you.
All right. Reports from committees. Vicki, anything with budget?
No, we were due to the death of Sheriff Blassie. We were not able to hold a meeting this past week, but we're anticipating one just any time this week that we can get our people together. And so we'll be hopefully finishing that up here momentarily.
All right. Resolutions and
Very
ordinances.
attractive.
You're welcome. Resolutions and ordinances, other than appropriations. So we're looking at Resolution 2024-12, resolution modifying the local income tax rates, or the LIT, I believe is on, y'all can jump in. Page 6. Page 6. Right. So this is in regards to our fire departments in the county, and the amount that will be coming in based on calculations that we used. Is there any discussion? I'll let you take it. Whatever you want.
Good practice.
Actually, page 7 is the actual resolution. I believe last week, we had Mr. Shackelford here to talk about it. I don't think we had too many questions.
Did you all send, get the email I sent with this last week or before I left?
I think so.
So the figures on page 7 are taking that they wanted 65
It's calculated the exact same way here, and I understand. And the reason, that's why it's in the email too, let you know about Nevin, I'm sure you're all aware. Of course, that's because that levy portion's still a bit edit, so that's why it's there, but that will go to Lost Creek because they have that memorandum of understanding. And I'm sure you're all aware that, I did speak to Mr. Hanley last time from Nevins, they're finishing getting those signatures. I believe they'll be taken in by Lost Creek Fire Protection. But they still get, they won't get it, it will go to Lost Creek still, but that is their portion based on the levy. They didn't have really any run. They just had to do.
Pro Tem, I make a motion that we approve this as presented.
Second your motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I yield the gavel back to our president.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about the delay. Only time I run in traffic is whenever we need to do something. So the next thing we have on the agenda is the ordinance related to appropriation, additional appropriation ordinance 2024-7,
Perpetuation.
perpetuation fund, contract services. Anybody we have a presentation, and you see it's on page 9 is what they're asking for in there. We can have some more discussion on that. If anybody has any questions, we do have the executive clerk here, so we can talk about that.
My main question, and I just want to make sure that we do it correctly, this is a perpetuation fund that we talked about had a certain amount in it. I believe it was in the 300,000 range. So when I see the number, 5.5 million, and approving that, I guess I want to make sure we do this correctly, because I know that we're doing this in chunks. So I don't know how we can approve something if we don't have the money in it.
You can't.
You can't, thank you.
Yeah, so I don't know if everybody else has taken the opportunity, but I talked with IT some, and I talked with some of the other departments. And I think this is not only the clerk's challenge, but this is some of the other departments. And I know we have the recorder's office here today too, and they've had done some of this as well. I've talked to them. So I think what we have here is we have an opportunity here to maybe try to standardize how we do some of our record retention and work with IT and possibly have our own cloud-based storage that we house instead of paying for somebody else. So to me, I had more questions than I had answers. And it's nothing negative about the clerk's office. I just think this is a big issue.
Sure.
And we've all of us that have been to see the Harry Potter room or the room, the building down, that when it had plastic all over it because the roof was leaking, and then we did get a new roof put on it. So I don't know if we have all the solutions. One of the things I did have, and somebody reached out to me, they'd heard it through the media, how many people bid on this? Did we just have the one bidder?
We only had one, and the only reason we had one, we didn't have it out for bid. We were at conference a couple years ago, started the conversation, and that's how it all came about. And this has been over the last couple of years. We've been talking to these same folks. We haven't had, it's not like a project that you get bids for.
Right.
So we, we were just working with the folks that reached out to us, interested in helping us with that.
And I was going to throw out something that maybe would get some traction. I just wondered if it wouldn't be wise for us to form some kind of a committee with some of the department heads on it, and let's come up with a best standard practice before we go into a contract. I mean, that's just a suggestion that I was thinking about. As I told one of the people that reached out to me is, we don't make policies and procedures how to do things. We just decide whether we give them the money or not.
Right. Right.
And so that's where I am personally on this. But anybody else would have a comment at this time or question for Leanne?
The only other clerk that, or not clerks, we have talked to the other clerks in some of the other counties. Of course, they're not the size of ours, most of them. Dave Shelton in Knox County, he created a whole area that he took to his council and commissioners, and it was a great big project as well. But they did it in-house, like you were talking about, and it's still a substantial job to do. And with everyone having their day-to-day jobs, there's absolutely no way that the clerk's office could, have enough staff to even work a few hours a day on a project like this. This is something that's going to have to be done, and we don't have the knowledge either. We don't have the knowledge that it's going to take to, build everything that we need in the computer systems and different things. We're just not, that's not our area of expertise. So, these folks do this for a living, and they do it for a lot of different counties and a lot of different states, not just Indiana. And that's why we picked ArcaSearch, and they have been really good to come. They've come and sat with us for hours and hours and hours. And we've tried to come up with a solution because there are so many documents, and they're just, they're being destroyed just by sitting in boxes and not being taken care of. There you go.
I said, but I know how important it is to get that done. But I networked a lot with, when I went to those conferences with different reporters and stuff. And they told me who was the bad one, who was the good ones.
Right, and we do talk like that
Yes.
throughout the Clerks Association, yeah.
Good. So, because I know there was a lot of help to me, especially, Hamilton County.
Sure.
I dealt with Shinny up there, and it's
Okay.
not bad.
Yeah,
but,
right.
size-wise to ours, so.
Okay.
Cheryl, what is the balance of that account?
322,000 as of today, 635, but you still have, 60,000 appropriated to come out of there.
What are the expenditures per year?
Well, like next year's budget, you're looking at 110,000. And the revenue, this in '23 was 71,000. And that's just because it started, 47,000.
Does that stay pretty consistent?
Yeah, you stay around 40, 45, 47. So that was just my concern. This a project of this magnitude at this amount,
Mhm.
the clerk perpetuation fund is not gonna be able to do it. I don't, it's something that if you're looking at, we're gonna have to try to find another source of funding for it. But the clerk perpetuation fund cannot afford it, because you do pay one employee out of there, and we do have part-time appropriated, whether they are able to use it or not. And then some other stuff out of there, and it just does not bring in enough revenue, I don't think, to even do it in stages. I mean, even if you found a way to do 100,000 a year for 5 years, you're still at $500,000. So, the perpetuation fund itself, I'm not saying it's not a good project. What I'm saying
Right.
is, you'll need to find another funding source. That's what you would have to look at.
Yeah, at the projections, you just said it'd take 117 years to pay for it,
Yeah, I mean, so
47,000.
that is my concern. You would just have to find another source of funding.
You know, and that's why I said if we could do part of it in-house, we don't have the technology to do it all in-house, and I'm sure these guys are experts, but if we could do part of it in-house and part of it outsource, and I think we have to. And then the other question I had is, like, when I talked with the public defenders, they had gone paperless 2 years ago. So are you guys paperless now, or are we still creating
Yeah, we
documents?
are
How long
paperless.
have you been paperless?
Since 2016, I believe.
So we won't have to,
No.
that's a good thing,
Once we're done, we're done.
because that's,
Right.
as I use the analogy, the best way to fill a hole in is quit digging. And so you
Right.
guys have quit digging the hole, so now we
Mhm.
just got to figure out how to fill it in.
Right,
So,
right.
very good.
I believe from what he said, there was a certain time frame. Like there was one we had, like, wasn't it from like the 1958 or
Right.
53
Marriage certificate.
to,
Yeah, right.
yeah, so.
Those are the records that we get into every single day.
Mhm.
And those books are ginormous if you've never seen them.
Yeah.
And we have our staff lift them, put them on
Yeah.
a copy machine, take them back off, fold them up, put them back on the
Yeah.
shelf, get them back out over and over and over all day long. And it is, they are just so sorely in bad shape. And I'm just concerned for the future. I'm not that concerned about today or tomorrow or even next week or next year. I'm concerned about 5 years from now. You know, what happens 5 years from now?
So,
I mean, this is not gonna get any better.
so I always like to look at things, and when we do budgets too, from priorities, you know, to have to's.
Sure.
Wants and shoulds and all that. So I think in looking at this project, I think, you know, some documents are more fragile than
Sure.
others, some are probably more deteriorated than others. As a history teacher, you know, I
Sure.
get that. I mean, you know, I'm all about, you know, saving that. But I think in a project of this magnitude and approving this kind of budget, we either need to look into it further to figure out the best way that we can fund this. I think this is a bigger decision than, you
Sure.
know, a month or a week.
Sure.
Looking at things. But also, I guess, you know, what I would ask of all of you is, out of those documents, out of those things we need to preserve, it sounds like the marriage licenses are a big one, is just even coming up with what should be the priority.
Right.
If we're able to, you know, fund some of it or kind of looking things, that's what I would recommend.
Okay.
And I think you guys have done some of that. You've categorized, you've made an
Sure.
index system. When I was there 2 years ago looking at this, you guys were working on it then. So
Right.
we have, it's not like we haven't started.
Right.
I commend you guys for working on this effort. We just got to figure out how we're going to move forward with
Sure.
this. And I would like to see us, if we're doing something, we look at what the needs are through the whole county and departments and see what how we have to prioritize that too. I mean, that sounds like a bigger effort. But I don't know the best way to go about that, but that was, like I said, I end up having more questions than
Sure.
answers on it, so.
Sure, I get that.
Any other questions or comments for clerks? If not, I'd entertain a motion, what we need to do with this at this time.
What, I guess before we do that, what would be the best action as far as with our finances? And, I mean, obviously, we can't just approve this as is. But moving forward, is there a suggestion from the auditor, or chief deputy, or legal counsel?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Councilperson Thies, that as it currently exists, to approve the ordinance as it currently exists would drive that account significantly into the negative, which is against SBOA policy and guidance and not recommended by myself or the auditor, I believe. So you could table it, you could call it for a vote. If it's defeated, if it comes back in any sort of different fashion, then it's a totally new and appropriate ordinance to review, so you're not hindered by the fact that it was defeated here, that it can't come back before you for a year or anything like that. As it exists right now, with $5.5 million coming out of that single perpetuation fund, is not, as it exists right now, to defeat it is not significant burden to overcome in my mind.
Would it be appropriate action to table it to a study committee? And then report back? I mean, I'm not trying to kill it, I'm actually trying to help with the solution.
You're gonna have to come up, as it now stands, it's impossible.
Yeah.
You know, I don't view it as anything, but you have to say, no, you don't have $5.6 million in that fund.
I mean,
Now, you can,
yeah.
tabling it isn't gonna make more money.
Well, if
to
we table it
support
for a
this.
month, it's not gonna fix anything.
Yeah, it's-
No,
it's not.
I think if the thought is we want to look at this from a more holistic perspective across county departments, then, yeah, either defeating it as it currently exists, or if the clerk is so inclined to withdraw the request as it currently exists, either of those options would be appropriate. And then, I'm not trying to, but if there's going to be a committee that is looking at the county-wide issue department by department, in my opinion, that would need to be driven primarily by the executive branch of
That's
government.
what I
Yeah.
agree.
I
agree
mean,
with that.
I think the commissioners would be in the best position to, work on those issues during the day. Definitely, the council could have some role to play in that. But, yeah, if the thought of committee were where, then I would bring those conversations up with the commissioners and other departments and try and build a consensus here is that this is what needs to happen. And I would tell you from, Gretchen's here in the room, the building that was just constructed was done to deal with primarily a records issue in the public defender's office, and they've been paperless for a long time, but this is not something that's exclusive to us.
No.
This is a issue that should be brought up with legislatures, because the state needs to give locals guidance on records, because as it exists right now, there's nothing, and the clerk's office is burdened with the prospect of keeping records forever. And so that's why digitizing them is so attractive, because
Sure.
they don't have to be kept under roof and wall and gotten, accessed for information from them. And so it's a, prospect, it's a problem that's not exclusive to us.
Would you want to withdraw it and we'll,
We can do that. We can withdraw the request at this time.
and
It's
Michael,
not going anywhere. It's not going away.
yeah,
No.
I know,
So-
maybe they could go talk to the
Um,
commissioners and consult with them about trying to figure out
Well,
with every department how we can deal with this.
Well, and the reason for the 5 million, asking for the whole amount, is because of the advertising. You can always
Yeah.
approve less,
Certainly.
you can't approve more. So
Certainly.
that was the total amount that was quoted to us.
Mhm.
So that's why and we know that the perpetuation fund is not sustainable. We know that. But we also know we have a problem. So we've got to, as a group, as a collective group, we have got to come up with something, some way to fix this.
So it's very similar to what we just had, as the council said, we had an issue with the record retention, we had a need for sheriff, we had a
Sure.
need for the morgue, we had a need for general
Right,
maintenance,
everybody.
and so, I
I
mean,
get
that
that.
wasn't, we couldn't do that, falls onto the executive branch as well. I think this one falls into that category, in my eyes, and not trying to give the commissioners more work to do, but, I mean, if we try to stay in our lane.
You're welcome, Mark.
If we try to stay in our lane, that's what I think we have to do, so. But
Todd?
if you choose to withdraw it, if you make that statement, then yes?
I just want to know, maybe, I mean, I think it's great that the commissioners look into that, but would it be maybe good if Leanna contacted this company and another one and did what you said, the priorities, maybe the marriage license is
Yeah.
the priority first?
It could
Can they
be a-
give you a quote?
Well,
Get that
they
health on by
did.
the time.
They told us last time it was, what, 325,000 or something like that for what needs to be done right now.
I'd had enough money in the perpetuation fund, but whenever you say this is
Yeah.
already
The
budgeted and this
perpetuation
is
fund
what the
can't, but
revenue
I'm
is,
just
we don't
saying,
even have that.
If you can get that and get something, then that gives either the budget committee something to look at to put in the budget for next year, to start your process.
So bring that to the budget committee then, is what you're saying?
No, I mean, she could if she
I
wanted.
can.
guess
I
my
mean, we did
suggestion
get
was-
didn't we get an email or something today?
To-
And we had never gotten anything before, and someone had heard it through the,
And I said, we just
Yeah.
voted up or down, and so
and
you'll
they were
need to.
upset because they didn't get an opportunity to bid.
So I
Well,
think that's-
it wasn't up for bids,
Right.
so, you know,
I
we're
see you
just
have some
doing,
proposals in here. I guess maybe, like they said, maybe breaking it up to your
Yeah.
priorities.
Right.
Like marriage license and how much it might be, and then what your next thing might be, that we could work on the budget,
Well, and I
work on
know-
it as a, in the future, like here's year one or
Right.
year two. That's where I was going, David.
and in the past, Cheryl, didn't we before, I mean, and I know the perpetuation fund is for records, but like the CUMCAP fund, that's
The
for
cum-
something that
Well, we did that
is
for,
just
we did that
for
for
a
election
one-time,
equipment.
right, and it's a one-time thing,
Yeah, but
right?
CUMCAP is also a levied fund.
okay.
And so CUMCAP's kind of for big projects, and that's more control, I mean, the council has control, but that would be more control of the commissioners deciding what we really want to put in there. And
Okay.
right now.
I guess that's why I'm confused.
They're using that for buildings. I mean, that's really
Right.
what
Okay.
it should be for. But we
Okay.
did take your election
Yeah.
equipment out of there because it was
Okay.
such a big.
Well, I will withdraw at this time, so y'all don't have to make a decision, because I know it's a big, big project. It's a huge thing that we have to do. And like I said, I am not concerned about today, tomorrow, next week, or even next year, but I am concerned about 5 years from now.
And,
So
and
if
I think we are
can-
too. We just want to make sure, and I
Right.
say this many times on the council, we want to make sure if we're committing to this, that one, we do it and we do it right.
Sure, absolutely.
And by, I think, getting bids, but also breaking it down into potential, like chunks where we can see it rather than one big one. I think
Sure.
it's something that we can look at with budget. You know, if there's some that could be covered, you know, from this fund, since it's a perpetuation fund, maybe that's what we look at too. But I think I think where it's at right now, there's too many questions. And so I think, you know,
Okay.
bringing it back to us with more information, I think will be helpful.
And having IT engaged in this process is, I think, crucial for, that way the county IT knows what we're doing with it, and ultimately, if they have to have an issue, they need to know why we did what we did, so.
Sure.
If we were to add it to our budget proposal, is it too late for 25? Would we have to wait until the 26 budget to ask for a portion of it? I mean, I know that
We've
it's
already
been,
turned all that in.
and been to our meeting and
You,
everything.
you turned it in. I'm getting ready to advertise, get the salaries in for them. I guess I mean, if up to us in the budget committee if you want to, if you can hurry up and get something to me in the next day or two, I could add it in, to advertise.
Yeah.
So that they can look at it when they actually do
Okay.
budgets.
So,
But I would still suggest it be a breakdown.
Yes, oh, yeah, no, I'm not gonna ask you
And
for 5 million.
prioritize.
For the 5 million.
so if you would just go on record and say, I'd like to withdraw this, that way we'll have
I'd
it on
like to
record, right?
withdraw.
Council?
That'll be perfect.
Okay.
We'll withdraw this for
Okay.
now and we'll move forward,
Okay.
another time.
Yeah, and I think if, like say, hit the commissioners up for it and then throw out the money for the budget too, so. If that's the case, then we'll move on to the
All right,
item
thank
number
you.
2. Thank you, Lynn.
Well, and I think it's good you brought it to our attention, so we
Yeah.
can kind of look at it, so thanks.
Item number 2, additional appropriation 2024-71, solid waste management fund, employee benefits, special events equipment. We have the executive director here. He answered it and did anybody who likes numbers, he did a really number report last time of everything that the solid waste is doing. He's here for questions if you have it, or if you have any additional information for us.
I'm more than happy to answer any questions you guys got.
And that, it was on, what page was that, 9? 10? 10, so he was, it was 75,000 for special events, 5,000 employee benefits, and 10,000 for equipment, for a total of $90,000. And I always, Hiram educated me on this. This is not tax money. This is money from fees that's generated from, at the
Sycamore Ridge Landfill.
Sycamore landfill. Thank you. So it is, but part of the process is under DLGF that they have to come through us to ask for their own money back. So this is what he's doing.
Well, I was trying to be more diplomatic, saying, hey, I want my money, but I'll answer any other
Any
questions you guys
questions? If no questions, I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion moved and seconded by, is there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
got. Thank you very much.
So we don't have anything under honorary resolutions, resolution related to fiscal policies of the council, none. We don't have any appointments this time. At this time, we'd be for public comment. Limited to items not on tonight's agenda. Anybody?
David Cronky might want to tell us about his little dog.
I want to wish all of our teachers and students and families
Indeed.
back to school. Some schools have started around the state. Ours starts tomorrow here in Vigo County, unless it's one of the private schools that's doing a different schedule. But also as we welcome in, Indiana State, I think, has their orientation going on right now, and Rose-Hulman, St. Mary's, they're all moving in, and our town will be bustling again. So welcome and wishing them a good year.
And I did want to say is that, you never should criticize somebody till you walk in their shoes. So I just wanted to see what it was like to come in late like Travis does. So I just wanted to try it out one time.
And I did have one thing to mention that our you two better knock it off. I want to mention also that our Indiana State men's basketball players have arrived, and we've got a lot of freshman and sophomore players living in apartments for the first time, and they don't have any furniture or, like dishes, pans, flatware, et cetera. If you have anything extra, I'll be glad to pick it up and help them set up their living situation. So
We have to teach them what rummage sales are like, garage sales.
No, I have to go and get it for them.
Yeah.
At any rate, they'll be mighty grateful for that. About every few years, we go through that, but
That's a good.
just
that's a
give
good
me a
one.
holler. I appreciate it so much.
Anything
Thank you.
else? If not, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. I like that, Travis. That's called deflection.